Hey, do you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars. All the vroom, vroom, and the pew pew. That's good. I love Star Wars so much that I decided to set out on a journey to consume the entire canon timeline. On my journey, I'm going to be doing these videos just kind of giving a little review of every single thing that's canon. And that's a lot of stuff. One important thing to note before we get started is that for things that cover a large period of time, such as an entire trilogy or even the entire Skywalker saga, I'm going to be consuming those and reviewing those at the end of that period of time. I'm going to be doing this because I would rather be spending some time looking back on a period of time at the end of it with a couple different things that span those long periods of time versus constantly going in the future and seeing what's going to happen and then coming back and then going forward and then coming back. And even though I know what's going to happen in the larger Star Wars timeline because I like Star Wars, it still feels a little spoilery. With that out of the way, let's get started. First thing in the timeline is a short story called A Recipe for Death. It's basically a cooking show drama / murder mystery with aliens. Neat. Second in the timeline is a book called Dooku Jedi Lost, which is really good. It's not actually really a book. You can read the script for it as a book, but it's originally an audio drama, which is a really good audio drama. It's performed by a full cast, and it's really interesting to see what Dooku's life was back when he was a Jedi. Next up is a book called Master and Apprentice, which is a book that focuses on Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi back when they were Master and Apprentice. This book was also really good. It was really cool to see kind of the relationship between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and how their ideals didn't really work together all the time. It was especially good to read this before I watched Phantom Menace, which I'll get to later. Next thing in the timeline is the comic Age of Republic Qui-Gon Jinn, which was not very good. It gave me nothing. Skippable. Next we have a collection of Star Wars comics known as Yoda's Secret War, where Yoda goes to a planet full of big rocks. It was kind of cool. Finally, we see Darth Maul for the first time in the canon timeline, who is one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. We see him in Darth Maul issues 1 through 5, which is a neat story while he's still under the apprenticeship of Darth Sidious to track down and kill his first Jedi. Neat! Next up is Age of Republic Darth Maul, which is a direct follow-up to the Darth Maul run, which shows more of Darth Maul. Still pretty good. Next up was a story in the Age of Republic special called The Weapon that showed Mace Windu go to a place and do a cool thing with his lightsaber. Neat. And finally, I made it to my first film in the series, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which was pretty good. I know it gets a lot of flack for being a prequel, but especially after reading Master and Apprentice, I really enjoyed seeing the dynamic between Qui-Gon, who's just such a good Jedi, who has so little content, between him and between Obi-Wan as they find Anakin, and the appearance of the first Sith Lord to be like open to the Jedi in the timeline after they'd been an order that disappeared for a long time. Just having all that context from the stuff earlier in the timeline made the movie a lot better than I remembered it. Afterwards, I read the little Golden Book version of The Phantom Menace, which was just a kid's illustration of the same thing, which had cool pictures. And then I experienced a read-along CD story of the same story again, which just reminded me how good of a character Jar Jar is. The last thing I did in this area of time was a Choose Your Own Destiny book that is an audio Choose Your Own adventure thing that you can get through the Amazon Kids service that I paid for to do this. But in it, you're just a pod racer who, again, kind of like Phantom Menace, gets stranded on Tatooine, has to pod race to get off the planet. There was a crate dragon, the kind of dragons that live on Tatooine that you don't see a lot, so that was cool. Other than that, it was okay. That's all for this video. I will do the chunk leading up to and right after Attack of the Clones in the next one.